بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله الطاهرين وصحبه المهتدين والتابعين لهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين اللهم اجعلنا معهم ومنهم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Okay, so we're on chapter 1 of the Burdah. And a quick recap, this chapter is basically an introduction to love and an expression of love in general without yet getting into the object of that love, the subject of that love, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sahbihi wa sallam. So this is just a warm-up. If we understand the journey of love and we understand how love works, it starts to open us up to that specific love, that love of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sahbihi wa sallam. So this is a warm-up. If you're already somebody who's fully warmed up, then this might feel a little bit long and tedious to you. We know of a Shaykh, for example, he's expressed that he kind of wishes that, the Buddha didn't have chapter 1 and chapter 2, but rather just went straight into talking about the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That's somebody who's completely warmed up already. But for us, who are just stepping onto this path, developing a relationship with the notion of love in general helps ready us for that love of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So a quick recap. The author is experiencing conflict because we're saying that, okay, there's love that's 100%, there's love that's 0%, i.e. no love, and then there's in between. Love is a spectrum. And so if you find yourself on that spectrum, you find that your love is not 100%, you're missing pieces, and so you feel a hypocrisy in love, you question your love. But at the same time, it's also not 0. So there is love there and there are signs of love, especially if it's not 100, but it's up there. So you notice he talks about the signs of love in here. He usually says 2 at a time. One is tears of the eyes, and then he flips between a couple. The other is sickness that shows up in the face, love sickness, and the other is agitation of the heart. So really, there's 3. Usually mentions 2 at a time. Tears of the eyes, sickness in the face, agitation of the heart. These are proofs of love. So you might be looking at yourself and saying, if I truly loved, I would be like this and I would be like that, and I wouldn't have any failure in my expression of that love. But the reality is, maybe your love is not 100%, maybe there's an imperfection in it, but that doesn't mean it's 0. And the proof of that is these expressions of love that just show up despite yourself. Tears of the eyes, sickness in the face, and agitation of the heart. Now we mentioned about love, there's 2 experiences that love creates. The pain of separation and the joy of union. And you'll fluctuate between the 2, depending on what you're experiencing in that moment. If you're experiencing sort of the cup as half full, then you're in that joy of union. And if you're noticing what you do have, but also if you're noticing what you are missing, the cup as half empty, and both experiences are accurate. If you're experiencing what you're missing, then you feel that pain of separation. Now here in the Burdah, the author is clearly somebody who has experienced that joy of union, or is expressing he's experienced that joy of union and is missing it. So there's that pain of separation, longing for that reunion. Now, and so you find the expressions that are showing up, the proofs that are showing up of love are the expressions of that pain of separation. We mentioned the 3. Tears of the eyes, illness in the face, and agitation of the heart. We added, and it's not in the text, there are expressions of love that appear in the joy of union as well, which is a twinkle in the eye and a radiance of the face shows up in a smile. Now, also that we mentioned about the eyes, the eyes may also shed tears of joy as well. Okay. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. So that's a quick recap of the experience of love as a spectrum, love causing the experience of the pain of separation and the joy of union, and the signs of that pain of separation and signs of that joy of union. So let's jump back into the text, where there's an expression of this conflict and also presenting that proof of that pain of separation. That is an expression of that love. Verse 6. مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. So how do you still deny a love to which testified against you true witnesses of tears and infirmity, when grief has fixed on your cheeks canals of tears and malaise, like branches of dogwood red and daffodils yellowy. Right, so again, there's this denial of love because I'm seeing the deficiency in it, but then I'm also questioning myself. How do I deny it? How do you deny a love to which testified against you true witnesses, right? Here we mentioned two witnesses, right? Against you true witnesses, those witnesses are truthful, can't be denied. You don't have these witnesses unless there is love there. What are they? Tears and infirmity. Infirmity is that sickness, the love sickness. So tears, those tears don't happen unless that love is there, and that love sickness doesn't happen unless that love is there. So those are proofs of the love, even if you're recognizing a deficiency of the love, and because of it saying to yourself that, I don't love, or what kind of love is this? You have those proofs. And when they become ongoing, you see them like this. When grief has fixed on your cheeks canals of tears and malaise. So the expression of love has been ongoing, and tears have flowed down. And they've been so much that they're now showing permanent marks on your face. Two permanent marks. One is the tears, and the other is malaise, the sickness, a paleness, jaundice, and so on. You just look weak and sick. Like branches of dogwood, red, and daffodils, yellowy. So basically the tears have flowed down so much that your eyes have run dry, and actually you're now weeping blood from the amount, from the dryness, and it's an expression. But imagine it now, you've wept so much out of that pain of separation and that longing that the tears have left marks, and those marks are red. I want you to look up dogwood. Right? Just do a search on dogwood and you'll see its branches, it's like a shrub, its branches are up and they're red. Now imagine it turned upside down, the branches down, and you just have tears coming down, like canals branching out, and so much that they've now left marks, red imprints, from as if you've been weeping blood, and as if they've been coming down so much that they've imprinted on your face. Canals of tears, like red dogwood, right? And then also the sickness, the malaise, the jaundice, and the infirmity, and the weakness has become so permanent that your face just has this paling, and it's yellowy like daffodils showing up on the cheeks. So those are the proofs of the love, the expression of that pain of separation. Yes, sights of my love have come at night and kept me awake. How love repels all delights and comforts with agony. So now remember, the author has experienced that joy of union, and he's in this pain of separation. Maybe he's not experiencing the same level of union that he had previously. So he's in this constant pain of separation. Now that pain is preventing worldly pleasures, is depriving of worldly pleasures. And among those pleasures, among that, remember we said the agitation of the heart, it's not allowing anything else in. That agitation of the heart, it's not allowing a calming, it's not allowing that restfulness that allows you to sleep. Why? Because he's actually haunted by the memory and the image of his beloved. Yes, sights of my love have come at night and kept me awake. I'm being haunted by the sight of my love, this image that keeps coming to me that is preventing me from relaxing. And because I can't relax, I can't fall asleep. How love repels all delights and comforts with agony. So love, meaning this pain of separation, is just putting him in a state of sickness and depression and sorrow and grief, that I can't think of worldly pleasures or worldly comfort or bodily pleasures or bodily comfort. It's like when somebody is in a state of depression, they can't eat, they just have zero interest. It's almost, they have zero interest in eating. It's even repulsive to them. So this is the experience that the author is going through, and being haunted at night by the memory and the image, the ghost of his beloved. Now I want to add something. There are some people who are not haunted by the image, by the presence of their beloved, but rather, when we talked about the joy of union, maybe they're comforted by the presence of their beloved. So when they have the image and the experience of their beloved, they actually in that feel the joy of union. Now remember, it's all relative. This lover may have experienced a tremendous union before that is much more than just the presence and the reflection. Maybe he was in the company, the direct company of the beloved. So that was all the way over here. Now, an experience of the vision of the beloved is less than that. And so here was the joy of union that he experienced. And now what he's experiencing is mere vision instead of actual presence and company. And so there is that half-empty cup. There is that pain of separation. And so all that this vision does is remind him of how much he's missing. But now let's say here is the vision and you were over here. You never experienced the company and you never experienced the vision. And so when you have the vision, that actually is not the pain of separation that's over here, but rather the joy of union that is going from here to here. And so some people, maybe they actually experience that joy of union in sleep. And so sleep isn't agonizing for them because they go from a lack of union to a union here. And so sleep may actually be a comfort for them because that is when they get the visitation. So recognize that it's all relative. The love is a spectrum, and the union and the separation are also a spectrum. So he's experienced that union that is all the way over here, a tremendous amount of union. And so visions are not a union for him, they're actually a reminder of what he's missing. Whereas for other people, right, a vision might be far more than they've experienced. Right? And so the vision is not agonizing, it's actually joy for them. Now, maybe when they're lacking those visions, they experience that longing and that pain of separation and that lack of comfort and that lack of delight as they long for that vision. So it's a spectrum. Yes, sights of my love have come at night and kept me awake, i.e. reminded me of what I'm missing. How love repels all delights and comforts with agony. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Now all this that we're talking about, somebody who is overwhelmed with the pain of separation or somebody who is overwhelmed with the joy of union are outside, both these expressions of love are generally outside the spectrum of the average person who is just kind of going through life, coasting through life. You'll find in chapter 3 a mention of sort of sleepwalking through life. Right? Most people who don't have this passion, they're kind of muted. and they're kind of, just numb. And so when they see somebody with this agitation, this excitement, that person looks crazy. Whether that person is agitated with the pain of separation or agitated with the joy of union. Basically, that level of emotion or spiritual emotion looks crazy to people. And people will be like, what's wrong with this guy? Calm down, settle down, get over it, get over yourself. Right? And it may even feel fake to the people because they've never experienced that. And so if you have this agitation and this excitement and this overwhelm of love, you will offend people. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. I know somebody who used to give khutbah at a masjid regularly, and all he would speak about was this love of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, love of Muhammad, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, over and over and over. And there were some people that eventually got agitated, and they actually questioned, what are you saying? We don't love the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because his experience was different from their experience. There is the theoretical love, that every believer has by having that shahada, but then there is that being in love. And being in love, there's an agitation to it. Whether it's the agitation of joy or the agitation of pleasure or the agitation of pain, the agitation of sorrow, one or the other, but it's heightened. It's above that muted experience that other people have. And so you look hyper, you look crazy, you look unreasonable, you look like you need to get over it, and people get offended. And so this is now what the poet is talking about. He's now addressing, before he was addressing himself. Now maybe he's addressing others. He's addressing those who are not, they may have love, but they're not in love. Those who are not so passionate and they're looking at him like he's crazy, he's addressing them now. You critic of love so passionate, an apology from me to you. But if you were true, you'd not censure me. You critic of love so passionate. So you might have, love, right? Because honestly, if you speak like this, if you speak about the love of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you will find some people who say, well, every believer loves the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? But they don't have this experience and they don't have these signs. And I know because I know what it was like before a lover came into our life and poured in that love. I know what it was like. You have this theoretical love of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but it's not a passionate, overwhelming love. And so you might be critical of those people who have that passion. You critic of love so passionate. An apology. I apologize. I'm sorry that I'm offending you. I'm sorry that I am speaking in a way that's too excitable for you. I'm sorry that I can't control the tears. I'm sorry that I can't control the excitement. Forgive me that, you want me to be more calm and more muted. I apologize. But if you were true, if you had this true love, you wouldn't censure me. You wouldn't blame me. You wouldn't oppose me, because you'd be experiencing it as well. The thing is that experience we mentioned has a joy in it, has a pleasure in it, but it also has an agony, it has an excruciating, it has a longing, and also when that heart is opened up to love, you experience emotion and states much with a greater sensitivity. And so there's a pain and there's an excruciation, and maybe for some it's better that you in theory, that you just have that muted lack of this being torn apart. So he says to the critic, may you be spared what I bear, my secret isn't concealed from haters, nor is there any end to my malady. So may you be, if you're critical of me, may you be spared. May you be spared this experience, because this experience is not all rainbows and unicorns. This experience is not all, delight. There's a ton of pain in it, and also there's a ton of criticism from other people. There's a ton of, when you're in love, there's a certain lack of control that happens, right? You may all of a sudden just start bawling and you can't control yourself, and you try to appear muted and you can't. Right? You try to get control and you can't. And so there's a lot of struggles that you experience on this path of love. I'll add one more point. Love is choosing the beloved over yourself. And that entails painful sacrifice. That entails losing other loves of your life. That entails all kinds of troubles, all kinds of pain. When you're in love, your heart is very sensitive. It's like an exposed nerve. And so you experience pain much more fully. You may experience joy and pleasure much more fully, but you experience pain much more fully, right? And you lack control of yourself, and so you're criticized. So, it's not for everyone. So may you be spared what I bear. May you be spared the troubles that come with love. But also there may be a certain sarcasm in this expression as well. If you're critical of love, okay, fine. Don't have it. Don't have it, right? So there might be a sort of a genuineness in this expression. May you be spared of that pain and that anguish and that trouble and that criticism and that hate. Right? And there might be a sort of sarcasm as well. Okay, fine, you have a resistance to this love, you're critical of this love, then, maybe it's not for you, sort of sarcastically, then don't take it, don't have this love then. It's up to you, May you be spared, my secret isn't concealed from haters. May you be spared what I bear. My secret isn't concealed from haters. So may you be spared that hatred and that criticism that I receive for that love. May you be protected from that. My secret isn't concealed from haters. And may you be spared that pain, nor is there any end to my malady, my love sickness. I can't end it. I can't control it. I can't stop it. So, may you never have to deal with that sort of pain or that sort of criticism and hatred. You've offered me true advice, but simply I hear it not. The lover is deaf to all of those who speak critically. So your advice in terms of just calming down, there's a trueness to that, right? That, get over yourself so you can, like you're saying to me, get over yourself so you can function in the world. Calm down, be in this world, stop being floating in the sky with your pain and your joy. Just settle down, come back down to earth, right? There's a practicality to that advice. I recognize it. Right? But the problem is I can't do anything about it. So that advice is true to be just practical and calm down and come back down to earth, but I can't come back down to earth. Right? I can't hear you because I can't stop this experience, and this experience overwhelms and overcomes everything. So you've offered me true advice to be practical, to calm down, to come back down to earth, to function like other people. But simply I hear it not. I can't hear it. I can't hear it because of the experience that I'm going through. The lover is deaf to all of those who speak critically, right? That love is so overwhelming that your criticism and your advice and your guidance and your recommendation to be practical is not going to overcome that outpouring because it can't control it. I've even doubted gray hair's advice when it censures me, although gray hair with advice is less in dubiety. So as we age, right, they say love is a young man's game, right? Like this teenage love. There are even songs about it, right? And so as you get older, you think you're going to become more practical, right? Or in theory, you should become more practical. You should become more grounded. You should become more down to earth. You shouldn't, give up on this, this love and this having your head in the clouds and so on. Just be realistic, be practical, calm down. And so as you age, the world kind of chips away at you. And it's expected that you're going to settle down, calm down. But instead you carry on like a lovesick teenager. Now, I even doubted gray hair's advice when it censures me. So now I'm seeing all of this gray hair, and it's telling me, get over it, move on, get over yourself, calm down, stop. You're not a teenager anymore. Now be practical, be grounded, and so on. But I can't take that advice, even though gray hair, it's genuine. The gray hair doesn't come unless I'm getting old, and it's telling me that, hey, you're getting old, it's time to calm down. Although gray hair with advice is less in dubiety. So gray hair, it's not dubious, right? It's not suspect. It's genuinely telling you, hey, you're getting old. You're getting advanced in years. So it's genuine in its guidance and in its reminder to you that you're getting old in years. Time to be practical. Time to calm down. You're not a teenager anymore. It's a big reminder that you're not a teenager in love anymore. But see, this is the thing, is that teenage love is for worldly love, right? But this love of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam doesn't come with age. Go find those old men who are all white. All their hair is all white. But with that connection to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they only increase in that madness. They only increase. Love is a sort of madness, they say. They only increase in that craziness. They only increase in that separation from what everybody is advising and what that gray hair, even white hair is advising. You're getting old, settle down, become practical and realistic. No, they even go further and further from that advice. And they continue to doubt it more and more. I've even doubted gray hair's advice when it censures me. When gray hair comes and tells me and blames me and advises me and guides me, says calm down, I'm even suspicious of that. But the gray hair is the clearest reminder of your advancing in years and time to be practical and so on. But can't hear it. When you're in love with Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when you're in love with the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, you actually move in the other direction of becoming even more agitated and more overwhelmed and so on. It's that worldly love that actually, should calm down as you get older, as you get more advanced in years, right? But this Muhammadan love only gets more and more, despite all of the warnings and the advice and the blame and the censure that comes. You just become even more of a crazy old man or a crazy old lady. I've even doubted gray hair's advice when it censures me. I'm suspect of it. Although gray hair with advice is less in dubiety, less in suspicion, less in dubiousness. You're offering me advice, and I'm telling you that my gray hair is more genuine in advice. It's a bigger reminder to calm down than even your words. And even that I don't listen to. Sallallahu alayhi مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم صلى الله عليه. My master bless and salute always and forevermore your most beloved creation's greatest entirely sallallahu alayhi. Ya Rabbi salli wa sallim daiman abadan ala al-habibi wa ahli al-bayti kullihim sallallahu alayhi. My keeper bless and salute always and forevermore the most beloved and all the household entirely sallallahu alayhi. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik alayhi wa ala alihi. So remember, your homework is to look up dogwood and see its red branches. Imagine it upside down and you'll get a sense of the canals of tears on the face that are being made reference to. And just so you know, that example is not from the original Burdah of Imam Ghazali. We've made some adjustments. The reference in there is anam fruit, which doesn't mean anything to the English speaker, but dogwood you can look up and get a sense of what it is. And I want you to look up these references so that next time you see a branch with a reddishness to it, you will be reminded of that verse in the Burdah, and through it you will be reminded of the beloved sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And daffodils, next time you look at a daffodil, or next time you look at a flower, a yellowish flower, imagine that yellowness on the face from that love sickness. Maybe if you look at a dandelion or the like, or a sunflower. Think of that verse, remember that verse from the Burdah, and from that verse of the Burdah, remember that love of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and be reminded of your beloved. This is one of the beauties, one of the many beauties in this poem, in similes and metaphors and references that you might experience in life, is that all of those, when you go and experience them again in life, they pull you back to the beloved sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There's a lot we could say about that, but I think we've gone on long enough. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. The next chapter, inshallah, chapter 2, is about the self or the ego or the psyche, the nafs, which when we talked about love, you're going to see about that barrier to the beloved is the nafs. And so that if you understand the nafs, you are more able to overcome it to reach the beloved, inshallah. Sallallahu alayhi wa sahbihi wa sallam. So we'll stop here and we'll continue into chapter 2 next lesson, inshallah. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.